very hot and dry and desert. And one of my children lives right over here, which is the U.S. Capitol. You know the name of the capital of the United States?
Yes.
He lives in Washington, D.C., but my son is a diplomat, so he travels from country to country to country. Right now, we are very happy he is living in the United States in Washington, D.C. Last time, he was in Iceland for 3 years. So we have visited Iceland many times. Very beautiful country. Okay, so now you know where Georgia is in the United States, and you can, when I come and say I'm from Georgia, everybody will know. But what is so special about Georgia? What are some things that you will know about my city, Atlanta, so that you can remember Atlanta in your mind? First of all, many of you maybe you just were watching the Olympic competition in Russia, right? The Olympic competition in Russia was just finished, and it's a big deal for the whole world. It's a big deal. And we had the Olympic competition in Atlanta in 1996, and here it says 100 under the symbol for the Olympics. You know, the symbol for the Olympics are five circles that are together like that. And it says 100. Who can guess why it says 100 under the Olympic symbol? Yes, you know many of the answers.
It was the 100-year anniversary of the Olympics.
That's right. Yeah. So why did the Olympics come to Atlanta, Georgia, on such a very important year, 100th year celebration, very important year? Why did they come to the city of Atlanta that nobody in Vietnam knows? And the answer is, I think, just because the people in Atlanta were very aggressive, and they said, come to our city, we will make a great stadium for you, we will make a great event for you. And that is what my city is actually very good at. We are very good at selling ourselves. We sell ourselves all the time. Another important institution in Atlanta you might know, many of you maybe watch CNN News, and the headquarters for CNN is in Atlanta. And some of you maybe drink Coca-Cola. The headquarters for Coca-Cola is in Atlanta. So if you drink Pepsi-Cola, that's a bad thing. Nobody in Georgia drinks Pepsi-Cola, only Coca-Cola. Did you date when you were living there?
Yeah.
Todd, you drank Pepsi?
Yeah, just to be a rebel.
I won't tell anybody. One more thing, which is Atlanta is very famous for. Do you know this man? Do any of you recognize who this man is? That's right, Martin Luther King Jr. And who can say something about Martin Luther King Jr.? Who can say why he is important in American history? Somebody? You know his name? You must know why he's famous. Why is this? In fact, in the United States, we have a holiday. We have a holiday, which is Martin Luther King Day, and nobody goes to work. You take the day off in honor of this man, in honor of Martin Luther King. That's how important he is in the United States. But who knows why he is important? Do you know, you're just not telling? How many people, I won't ask you, how many people know why he is important, but you don't want to say?
That's been a harder question.
So you really don't know why he's important? Okay. Do you know why he's important? Not sure. Do you want to tell them why he's important?
He led what we call the civil rights movement in the United States. So in the 60s, there was a lot of racial tension in America between many different races. And he was a reverend in the Christian church, and he helped lead the civil rights movement for equality for many races in the United States.
That's right. So when we think of Martin Luther King, we think of the hope. He says, I have a dream. That is what he's famous for saying, I have a dream. And his dream is that everybody can live together like brothers and sisters. So we are very proud that, that Atlanta was the home of Martin Luther King. And we like to think that in Atlanta we are trying to keep his dream alive, keep the dream alive, that everybody, if we are different, if we are from America and from Vietnam, wherever we are from, we can live together like brothers and sisters. That's his dream. And here's just a picture of what the central city of Atlanta looks like. You can see there are many big buildings. It's a big city. It's considered to be a big city. So next time when somebody says, oh, what are some of the big cities in the United States, you can say, oh, I know Honolulu, and I know Los Angeles, and I know New York. Maybe you know Atlanta now also. Okay? So a little bit more cultural information. I want to tell you about the university where I work. And I have worked there for many, many years, longer than some of you are alive. I have been working at the University of Georgia. And the University of Georgia is like Thái Nguyên University because we have many different schools. We have a school of education, we have a school of journalism, we have a school of agriculture, we have a school of forestry. I think we have maybe 15 different schools. Veterinary medicine, human medicine, pharmacy, all of those fields that you have in Thái Nguyên. So we are a very big university. We cover lots of different subjects like you do. But I think that the student's life and the life on the campus is a little different from Thái Nguyên University. So I want to show you two very short videos. The first one is a video if you graduated from the University of Georgia and you want to remember all of the beautiful things about your life there. This one is for people who already graduated. Okay, so I'll show you this one first. Okay, this one I'm not going to play for you. I'll try the next one. I don't know why it's not playing anymore. Now we're in trouble.
Thì không mở bằng Windows mà mở bằng trình duyệt khác. Sợ ông không có, trong máy không có. Có chị Hương.
Có chị hỏi bác có gì khác không? Mỗi cái này không hỏi.
Well, I'm not sure why we can't make this work.
Nếu có cái nào trên mạng thì em có thể
Con ra máy bàn thì lại phải kết nối lại cho bên xìu.
Để xem máy bàn có trình duyệt đấy không ạ? Đúng rồi, xem máy bàn có trình duyệt.
cao ở đây. Bác cứ hát ở đây. Đó, đi đâu
KMV
không?
đấy. KMV thôi là
Cảm ơn về đâu.
Oh, I have no USBs.
Ngọc ơi Ngọc, KMV thì KMV là mở được. Trong máy tôi có KMV này.
Không có của mày luôn.
So some things are the same every place, every country. Technology, if something can go wrong with technology, it will go wrong. So we have to be a little patient with technology. And sometimes why it's better just to be able to stand and talk and not worry about technology. It's, you know what, we can skip this. There will be other videos that we want to play. So maybe I'll tell you, while we are trying to make the technology work, I'll tell you a little bit about the classes that I teach, and maybe you can tell me something about the classes that you teach. One of the classes that I teach very often is a class that Ms. Diem also teaches in intercultural communication. And in our class in intercultural communication, it's mainly for American students who want to learn to be better communicators with people from all over the world. So one of the activities that we do is all of my students make friends with an international student, somebody who has come to my university to study. And each one of my students has to be the friend for the student who has come from another country. So that means they have English conversation with each other, but also they try to learn and exchange something about culture. When students come to my university, international students come to my university, what do you think the first thing is that they want to do? First thing that an international student wants to do when they come to an American university. Can you guess? Just guess. What do they want to do? What would they like to do? They would like to make friends. Okay, that's number one. They would like to make friends with Americans. They want to study all about culture. That's right, but sometimes it's a little scary, right? A little frightening to go to a new place. And that's right, you can experience culture shock. Yes, when international students come, we try to give them some kind of orientation so they become more comfortable. Oh, this looks good. This is not quite the right one. Very good, thank you. Okay. Maybe no one wants to play. So this shows pictures of the university that people who have graduated would like to sing. And the song is the song for our university that people sing to, I don't know if Thái Nguyên has a song. Do you have a song?
Not yet. Not yet.
So this is one of the main classroom buildings. This is a building where we have lots of media, lots of computers. And you can see it's a very old campus, 230 years old, I think. This is our pet. And it is a very big campus. This is our student orchestra. Many people come to study music, but only the best ones get to play in this orchestra. This is American football. We can have almost 100,000 people. 100,000 people, that's half the population of Taiwan. This is the School of Business. This is the building where I had my office. Doctoral degree. This is our new president. He was my student. I show you that one just to get a feeling for what a big American university can be like. What are some of your impressions?
It's too big.
It's big, yeah. Yeah. Actually, it's a very big university. We have a bus system that takes people around from one part to another.
I saw the traffic lights there. That means there.
But you need a bus system in Taiwan also. It's very difficult to get from this campus to the agriculture campus. You should have a bus system also. You also are spread all over the place. So I want to ask some people in the back row, what are some of your thoughts about this American university? What do the pictures make you think of? Okay, I was hoping I wouldn't have to do this, but we have a trick, and I do this in my classes too. This is an American football, little American football. It has the letter G on it because it is a little football from the University of Georgia. So when I throw the football to you, you must catch it, and that means you have to speak. So whoever has the ball has to speak, no choice. So, if you have the ball, tell us, what does that University of Georgia video that we just watched, what were some of your impressions, what were some of your thoughts? You have the ball, you have to say at least 2 words. And you have to say them loud because I'm an old man and I can't hear saying them.
very large campus with a lot of students, and I think in my period, I think it's my dream to one day I will study in
Well, you know, they make it look much nicer than it really is. Okay, throw the ball back.
Throw back. Oh!
Hey. So that is the video for people who have already graduated. It makes their heart feel warm, and they love this. So now I'll show you one very short. This is to attract American students so that they will want to come to this university. You know, I will say I love my university very much, but it is not really unique. There are many American universities. This is really typical of a big American university. There are big American universities in Ohio and in Florida, Kentucky, and many of them are like this. So it just is, I think, I'm showing you this not to say University of Georgia is better than any other university, but really it's kind of a typical American university that people can go to. Okay, here's one for the student, for the young students. Oh, sorry. Too many mouses. University also? Yeah. Lots of activity going on. So I think it's different from the life of a student at Thái Nguyên because there's so much activity. We were talking last night. After the students at my university finish the school during the day, they go and they have finished their studies. They always want to do something at night. They want to go to a party, or they want to dance, or they want to see some music. So in that way, I think the life of a student at a university like this is different from the life of a student at Thái Nguyên. So I just wanted to share a little bit for cultural information. I hope you found it interesting. Do you have any questions about the university or about university life? Well, that's a good question. Well, the comment is that she noticed that this university is multi-ethnic, that we have people from many different backgrounds and races and nationalities at this university. That is what we hope. The reality is not always as good as the picture that is here, but that is what we hope for. That's our wish, is to have a multi-ethnic university. And you know that the United States, we say that the United States is a country of immigrants. Everybody came from someplace. I think you teach that in some of your textbooks. The United States is a country of immigrants. So in the city of Atlanta, there is not a large Asian population, but there is, I'm sure, probably 50,000 people from maybe many Koreans, some Chinese, and many Vietnamese as well. So many of them come to a university like this to study. So it is a goal of the university and the goal of university education to increase cultural knowledge, and we would like, and we send our students to other places to study as well. As Mr. Chang said, I have taken my students, I've taken them to Australia, I've taken them to Israel. Many of them go to Europe to study, so we try to make our students be citizens of the world. Okay, so now we'll get on with the business for this morning about curriculum review. And then, can I go back to my computer? How do I go back to the laptop? Is it very complicated? Is it too complicated? Is it very complicated? So, we are here today to talk about curriculum revision and curriculum review. And it is not always a very comfortable topic to talk about, because you all work very hard. I know that you work very hard as teachers, and you have spent a long time developing the classes that you are teaching, and you have spent a long time developing your expertise in those classes. And when somebody says, oh, now we must review our curriculum, that means that maybe something has to change. And change is hard to accept sometimes. So it's no different in Vietnam than it is in the United States. Many people say, I don't want to change. I'm happy doing things the way I'm doing them. I'm too busy to learn to do things a different way. It's taking me so long to learn to do them this way. Do I have to change? So that is something that you will discuss, something that you will discuss among yourselves. But who can discuss right now for all of us some of the reasons why maybe it's important to review the English curriculum right now? Why is this a good time? Why is this an important time to review the English curriculum in Thái Nguyên University? Okay. So, yeah, okay. But I don't think your friends in the back could hear you. So I will repeat a little bit louder. You know, incidentally, when I have taught, I was going to say before some of the classes that I've taught, I teach pronunciation class. I teach pronunciation class for international students. And one of the most important lessons that I include in pronunciation class is to speak loud. You have to speak loud. And really, there are so many reasons why it's important to speak loud. Obvious reason is communication, right? People in the back row, they can't hear you if you don't speak loud. And so what's the point of speaking if people in the back row can't hear you? But there are other reasons too. And one of them is consonant, final consonant articulation. When you're speaking very softly like this, very easy to leave off the final consonant. And we're back. Thank you. I hope we don't have to do this too many more times. We may have to. So when I speak loudly, I am always pronouncing the final consonant. Volume, the volume of my voice is a very good tool to make sure that I pronounce the final consonant of all the words that I want to say. And I think for many non-native speakers of English, including Vietnamese, one of the big problems is leaving off the last consonant. We leave off the ED sound when we say, I listened to Dr. Rubin, you say, I listened to Dr. Rubin. And we don't know whether you're doing it in the present or you're doing it in the past. But if you say, I listened to Dr. Rubin, then you always are very careful to say the last. So I believe, I'm not a person who likes to speak loudly, but I think it's important to speak loudly, to communicate, but also to help your pronunciation too. But I know that's a cultural issue also. Vietnamese people culturally are not supposed to speak so loudly. American people speak very loudly. You know, I will tell you a little, even in the United States, it's a very diverse place. Not everybody is the same. So my wife, she comes, we should go back to the map, she comes from a state called Minnesota. And I was born and I grew up in a city that you know called New York City. And in New York City, everybody talks kind of loud like that. That's the style from New York. But in Minnesota, everybody speaks very softly. It's a generalization. So one day, my parents were visiting Minnesota from New York, and my wife's parents from Minnesota, we were at a big store, a big, like your mall, a shopping center. And because my mother especially is from New York, she speaks with a big, loud voice, and she doesn't care whether you may be 2 rows down or 3 rows down. She'll go, my name is Donald, she'll go, Donald, do you need some toothpaste? And so that's the way she was talking in the store. And when we left, my wife's mother, she was like buried her head in her hand. She said, oh, I was so embarrassed that Mrs. Rubin was talking so loudly and everybody in the store could hear her. But that's the way it is in New York. In New York, you can talk as loud as you want. So, cultural difference. Okay, back to our... Okay. So we were starting to talk about what are our objectives today. So we had some cultural knowledge. That was a little extra. That wasn't really an objective. The objectives are, how can we evaluate our English curriculum? And as you don't need me to tell you, you know very well that the country of Vietnam and Thái Nguyên University and your department, you have all agreed that you will embrace, that you will link and connect with CEFR guidelines. And I think you are all familiar with CEFR guidelines, and we'll go through a little bit today, make sure you are. So we are asked the question, how can we align our curriculum with CEFR guidelines? How do you know? We know by the year 2015, I'm told. What has to happen in the year 2015? Do you know? What standard must your English department meet in the year 2015? Can you say it so everyone can hear? C1. All levels. Right. So all of your students who graduate, they cannot graduate unless they have C1 proficiency, right? That's a big job to do. Big job to do to make sure that every one of your students has C1 proficiency. I was very lucky, as I said, to visit some classes yesterday. Ms. Chang allowed me to visit her class, and some of our students were very, very good students, and maybe getting close, but some of our students were not close. So, if you are going to align the curriculum with CEFR standards, we have to be aware. What must I teach to get my students to B1? What must I teach to get my students to B2? And what must I teach to get my students to C1 so they can graduate in 2015? And then the syllabus is is how we implement the curriculum. The curriculum is maybe a little bit more general and abstract. The syllabus is much more concrete. Here's what I will do in my class. And the syllabus is made up of lessons. So how can I make sure that every day when I come into the class, I am thinking, how does this lesson, how does the work we are doing in the class today bring us closer to the CEFR standard that we are trying to meet, if it's B1 or B2. So how can we make sure that our lessons are using the correct materials? And then very important is to have some kind of assessment, not just at the end of the class. I think most of your classes you have a midterm examination and you have a final examination, right? And this, maybe we can talk a little bit about what kind of information do the students have before the midterm examination about how well they are doing in the class, what their progress is, and what they must do to improve. How well do we give them information in every lesson to help them know this is the standard you are aiming for, and here's what you must do to improve. So that is the question of assessment for continuous improvement of learning. And it's part of what we must think about when we think about curriculum review. So those are our objectives. We'll see how far we get. As I said, two-way conversation. I should not be the only one speaking. If I find I'm the only one speaking, you have to be alert. You must say something. What do you think of the objectives for this workshop?
So
They're what? I'm sorry?
it will help me to learn some knowledge about how to evaluate my student in the future.
Okay. So this may come to you if you're not careful. Okay. So we started talking about this before. No one likes change. Everybody likes to be comfortable. Everybody likes things the same way. But sometimes we need to review our curriculum. I don't know how long your department has been using the same textbooks, the same list of courses, maybe a long time. And here are some reasons that any program, not just this program, but any program, needs to do curriculum review. In my institution, every 7 years we are required to do curriculum review. 7 years is maybe too long, but at least every 7 years we must do a curriculum review. So a new program is needed to meet a new need. Do you have a new need, do you think? What is the new need?
To help our students get the standard.
Okay, to help our students get to the high CEFR standard. Do you think that's necessary? Do you think it's necessary? Do you think it's a good thing for graduates from this department to have C1 proficiency?
It is not necessary, it is urgent.
Urgent. Wow, that's a powerful word, urgent. Okay. Well, why is it urgent?
Because it is from the university it is required for every student to get the standard, right? And then also need to change, yeah, to be able to, how shall I put it? I don't know how to put the word.
And to make us well known.
Yep, that's it. Thank you very much.
Urgent because it's a requirement of the labor market. Now they only recruit teachers with C1 certificate.
Right.
Those who are now up to level, they will be unemployed.
They will be unemployed, which is very sad after you go through university for many years and then you cannot get a job. But how about for the country? How about for Vietnam? How do you think Vietnam will change if the level of English proficiency is higher at the universities and even out in the countryside? Do you think that would be good for Vietnam, or?
Yes, because in 2015, like all the Asian countries, some big changes among the Asian group community, like it is exchange the labor force, and like so, our workers can come to Vietnam to work.
That's right.
So Vietnam is also need to prepare itself to be in economy in line with other countries.
Right. So I think that what you are doing in your classroom is a small piece of the work which really will have a big impact on the whole country, on the economy, on the role of Vietnam among all the nations. Even though each one of us is just working in a little classroom, that's such important work for the growth of the country. And I think it's important to keep that in mind, that the new need is not just the policy that says all teachers must have C1. The new need is to fit into the ASEAN economy, to make the country more friendly for industry and manufacturing instead of so much agriculture. You know, all of this, you have a small part in making it happen. So sometimes the priorities within a department has changed, and I know that this department, not too long ago you were part of the School of Education. Now you are an independent department, right? Now you are an independent university, independent school. And I think that must be very, very meaningful. That must be very significant. Somebody said, education, English is so important that we must take it out from the School of Education and make it stand by itself. How long ago did that happen?
2008. 2007.
2007. So 6 years ago, maybe. 6 years ago. So now, as a school that stands by itself, you are showing your excellence, right? That only happened 6 years ago. I don't know, I'm the leader of your staff, I don't know about that. But sometimes a program, they forget why they exist. They forget what is our real mission, what are we really trying to do. And it's important sometimes to go back and to examine the values of the department and say, the values of the program, and say, are we still meeting those values? New standards is exactly what you are experiencing. I don't think your students are frustrated or dissatisfied, but maybe sometimes, you know. I mean, no one is happy all the time, right? Everybody has some dissatisfaction. So, if I were to ask you, what is one thing that your students are dissatisfied about? What is one thing in the English program, in the English curriculum, that students are unhappy about? What would that be? I want to ask you in the back. What is one thing? No, way in the back. Yes, you. What is one thing that your students are unhappy about?
I think there's a lot. Maybe the first thing is that they are not happy with their English skills. They're not satisfied. Or the second thing is that they find that the classes in classroom are maybe don't meet the things they need. Now I only think good things.
Okay, so those are two points that students are dissatisfied about. They would like their English skills to improve more, right? So we need to make a better curriculum. Of course, they also need to work hard, right? If they don't work hard, their skills will not improve. When I was observing the classroom, I saw some students working hard in the classroom and some students not working so hard. So, you know, when a student says, I would like my skills to improve, I can always say, how hard are you working? But also, maybe they see some of their English instruction as not practical, not relevant to what their needs are. So we must work to make sure that our curriculum can be very practical for them, and they can look at a reading passage and they can say, oh, here's why this reading passage is a good one for me to be able to understand. And maybe the faculty members have a sense that things could somehow be better. I won't ask you, I won't embarrass you by asking you, do you think things could be better? But I feel that people in this room are committed to doing the best job that you can. And so, of course, things can always be better. So these are the things, these are the reasons why sometimes we do curriculum review. And as I said before, change is hard. No one likes to change, but if you don't change, what happens to you? Extinction, right? That's right. And you know, as a university in Vietnam, you have to worry a little bit about the private English teachers. If the private English teachers, the ones that you know, are charging money, are going to be more innovative than you are, the students will go there. So you have to worry a little bit about being, you don't want to become a dinosaur, you don't want to become extinct. You have to change. So we'll do one more, I think maybe we should have a break every hour or so. Let's just cover one more topic and then we'll take a break. So really, when we talk about reviewing the curriculum, the question is, what is the curriculum and what is a curriculum? And there's lots of different ways that people talk about what is a curriculum. Sometimes they say, we talk about a curriculum which is really what gets taught, and sometimes it is just the listing of the courses. What courses make up the English curriculum, so that when Ms. Diem sent me the curriculum for this department, I saw the list of courses. I saw the courses that students take. They're very, very impressive list of courses. Pragmatics, sociolinguistics, phrenology. Wow, I was very impressed that your students learn all of those subjects. My students don't learn all of those subjects. They call that the propositional curriculum because it is just the propositions of the listing of information about what the students should be learning. And that's a very dry document. You know, if I say it doesn't have any life to it, and maybe it's not real. I don't know. Do your students actually, do they really take all of those courses? Very impressive. So another kind of curriculum is what they call a functional curriculum, which is how do we go about teaching this information? Not what do they learn, but how is it to be learned? And this is more what we're interested in today, I think. We have to be able to say, what is our philosophy of instruction? How do we think students learn language? And what is the best way for us to teach language? We must think about our values, what we believe, and then what materials and equipment are available to us. So I might say to you, oh, you should be using the latest textbook from Cambridge, but that's not a reality. That's not available to you. So we have to live within the reality of what materials and equipment are available to you. But the internet is available to you. So we can get lots of materials from the internet. What is the student learning environment? Do they have a library that they can study in? Do they have a language laboratory where they can go and listen to listening software, and where they can watch videos on the internet? So what is their learning environment? And also learning environment, we have to take into account how many students you have in each class. So At my institution, when we teach French or Spanish or Vietnamese or any foreign language, we never have more than 20 students in the classroom. But I know you have 40 maybe? 40 students. So that creates some difficulty too. We have to talk about what kinds of assessments and examinations, and we have to talk about what kind of training the teacher should have. So that is the functional curriculum, the curriculum that really functions, the curriculum which really is at work every day. And then I'll just give you two more ideas. Sometimes people talk about the living curriculum, because a curriculum is really just a piece of paper, right? But when I take the curriculum and I bring it to my classroom, then it has life. And so sometimes we want to study what is life in the classroom really like. I mean, how much of this curriculum really gets implemented? We can talk about conversation as part of the curriculum, but if students are not really having conversation, then the living curriculum does not have conversation in it, right? The paper curriculum, or the paper curriculum has conversation, but the living curriculum does not really. So we want to find out what the living curriculum is, we must really reflect on what happens in our classroom, what really happens in our classroom. And then finally, sometimes we talk about the hidden curriculum. The hidden curriculum is kind of what is the ideology, what is the values and the social purpose of learning English. And we have talked a little bit about it. We want to open Vietnam to the world. We want Vietnam to become more industrialized, and so it can be wealthier. There can be more wealth for the people if they move out of the labor-intensive farms and come and learn to do more skilled work. If they can get learn enough, a little bit of English, so they can get jobs at the factory that's being built outside of Thái Nguyên, the Samsung factory, right? So maybe they need to know a little bit of English to do that. So behind the English, some English curriculum is not like that. Some English curriculum is, we value the great classics of American and British literature. And the reason why we are studying English is to read the poetry of Lord Byron, because that's or to read the sonnets of William Shakespeare, or to read the novels of Ernest Hemingway. That's what our English instruction is about. Is mostly to honor and to praise that literary culture of the English-speaking world. Many, many, many English programs, that's the hidden curriculum. But I don't think that's your hidden curriculum. I think your hidden curriculum is really to develop Vietnam. So that's important to remember. You don't need to spend too much time reading Shakespeare, although I love Shakespeare. Shakespeare is wonderful, especially to see a performance. But that's not really the hidden curriculum for your students. Okay, so now we are going to do curriculum review, and we have maybe a better sense of what curriculum is. So this is a good time. We should take a little break, right? Yes? How long? Ms. Lan? 10 minutes? Okay. 10 minutes, everybody come back, and we'll start the curriculum review.